If banks don't trust Russ the Suss with money, how in the world are the people of Otter Creek? We're back in Otter Creek. We've never left Otter Creek, and we're here to stay, no matter if they want us to go away. We moved here, we wanted a peaceful, private life. They forced our hand of accountability, and accountability is powerful with a camera. So we're back in town hall meeting, but today I'm going to show you how banks don't even trust Russ the Suss with money, and it blows my mind how the people of Otter Creek can.
I don't know. I think he was fishing today.
No, he wasn't fishing. He fished yesterday. I don't think he fished today because we saw him today.
January 2023. This is the town hall meeting in Otter Creek. George and I were currently in Vegas, although I've seen more corruption here in Otter Creek. And currently, here's what the gossip is. Where's Captain Dan? Captain Dan is one of the council members. Where is he? Well, he went fishing. No, he didn't. Everybody here knows everybody's business. But are you sure you know what I know about Russell?
Minutes for the last meeting, do I hear a motion we approve them?
I'll make a motion to approve him.
Everybody in favor? Mr. Don? Good.
You know, I have a little difficulty with this also. It says here that the motion passed 4-0, talking about last month. You know, but there's no such thing as 4-0. It's 4 yes and 1 abstained or one dissented. It shouldn't be 4-0. That's not right.
Here we go, just with the minutes again. The incompetency. All right, you got Don. Don's on the board, long-standing member here in Otter Creek. Opposes Russell on everything. Everything from the minutes to the paying the bills, which you're going to see in the future here. Everything. But now, word is, in our upcoming meeting where the mayor is elected with the new council, where Russell somehow got elected to council, word on the street, remember, everybody here in Otter Creek talks about everybody is in everybody's business. Dom's going to get him in as mayor as soon as possible and say, I vote for Russell. That's what word is. Now, we don't know that 100% for sure. That's what we're continuing to be told, okay? But here you can see meeting after meeting after meeting. He opposes him because Russell doesn't do things right. And the people in Otter Creek are actually applauding Don, going, thank you. Thank you for pushing the issue. Thank you for actually wanting the right things here.
Do I hear a motion that we pay the bills?
I'll make a motion we pay bills.
I'll second it.
Everybody in favor?
Okay, I have another problem. We're not getting the full financial report, so without those reports, I have no idea to know whether I should approve them or not. I've since discussed this with the clerk.
Every single resident in Otter Creek should be asking, what are the bills? Now, I've got personal information right here up on the laptop. This is all public information. You have every right to know everything your voted in council members, mayor, public officials are doing. You can follow them. You can literally follow them and find out what they're doing, which that's what our mayor's doing anyway. As a matter of fact, we just had a local resident today tell us that he drove by their place 5 times today, switched vehicles, and you got to go out of the way to go over to this place. We're not going to tell you who it is, but here's what we are going to tell you about finances with Russ the Suss. I'm looking at it right here. This is all public information. You can find it as well if you want to get on the court records. In 2010, Countrywide Home Loan Service. You're getting this, right? 2010, Countrywide Home Loan Service sues Russ the Suss. All right. 2011, Citibank sues Russ the Suss. 2012, you got Countrywide and Citibank sues Russ the Suss. Why? Because the man can't pay bills. Now, this is what I don't understand, and this is where I get a little perturbed. How in the world can you take a man who couldn't even pay his own home mortgage and he was foreclosed on, not once, twice, right? And now you're going to put him in charge of an entire town. Now, it's a small town. Now, you may be thinking, Jeremy, wait. You're out of your league. All right. I'm not saying this to pat my back, all right? I want you to understand where I'm coming from. Number one, I have a double major and an undergrad degree. That's like doing 2 majors at once. I did 4 years of my undergrad. In 2 years, I graduated with highest honors in business administration and Bible theology. Okay, that's what I did. 4 years of college in 2 years with 2 majors, business administration and Bible and theology. And when I tell people, like Mary, do the right thing, I'm speaking from a biblical, theological perspective. All right, then I go on to get my master's degree. I double up my master's degree as well. My master's degree, you probably already figured this out, right? It's organizational leadership. It is business. Then I went on to be a professor, an adjunct professor, and all of my students could get their master's degree fully accredited in counseling, Christian education, or organizational leadership. I have hired over 1,000 employees. I have managed multiple multi-million-dollar budgets. So when I'm saying this, I'm not saying this from a point of view of, well, this is a guy who has a minimum wage job and he doesn't know what he's talking about. There is no way in Hales I would trust a man like Russell who didn't pay his own bills to then come into a town and give him the opportunity to handle the town money to pay bills. This is number one. Oh my goodness, this is like the number one thing for embezzlement. This is like the number one red flag for embezzlement. This is, let me see if I can equate this for you, okay? Would you give an alcoholic a drink? The answer is no, right? Would you allow a chronic stealer to be alone with money sitting on a table? The answer is no, right? Okay. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on. You're literally allowing an individual who could not handle his own finances, who could not handle his own home, who could not handle his own budget, who could not handle his own money, and you're giving him all the town's money. And when we get to a meeting, the question is simply this: motion to pay the bills? What are the bills? Nobody in this town knows what the bills are. Not one single person, does it seem, knows what the bills are, what's getting paid, and none of that public information has been provided. It's illegal for them to hold that back, and they are being sued for it.
Sue us. Financial report that you want about this.
Well, you see, it doesn't matter.
Let's
It
get
still
one.
passes.
Yeah.
It's just that I didn't approve it because this is not here.
For paying the bills, do I hear a motion? We got a motion in a second. Everybody in favor of paying the bills?
Financial reports are important to all of us. I don't understand.
I understand.
Okay.
Administration.
What you just saw there is what pathological liars use. It's called deflection. So Russ tells Don, I understand. Don just told him, financial reports are important to all of us. We need to know what we're paying. I understand. Administration, which what he's doing is he's turning it over to Mary to talk. He's taking it past that point of the agenda. Deflection. Don's over here. He's going over here to administration. Listen, guys, this is an individual that if he were to walk into a bank to get a mortgage, you understand, they would not give him money, in my opinion. And this is my educated opinion. I'm nobody's fool. I've done foolish things, but I'm nobody's fool. And what I know about this man so far, and I understand that he doesn't even live on his own property, he lives on his son's property. So the property's in his son's name instead of his own name. Why do you think he would have to go that route? Because he can't handle finances, because he can't get money to purchase property, and the list goes on and on. Now, there's other reasons to do that. This is my assumption, my educated guesses, and here's where it gets down to the nitty-gritty. If a bank will not give Russell Meeks Sr. money, Why in the world would we trust him as a town? Now, some of you are thinking, oh man, banks are greedy, banks are bad. And yet you probably at some point in time went to a bank and you went, can you hold this money for me? Because you trusted them with your money. Or you went to a bank and you said, can you cash this check for me? Because you trusted them because they have money. And here we are with a guy in a position of leadership, which, by the way, he gave no money at the dollar sale for the Ark. As a matter of fact, not a single individual on that council showed up. Now, I know some people had to work. Some people had prior commitments. Russ The Suss drove by again and again and again. He could have came. Now, I would have removed him. I would have physically removed him and enjoyed every single moment of it. But don't you think a mayor should have at least tried to give $1 for the community? He didn't even try. Okay, I would have let him give $1 first. Then I would have physically removed him because I requested a 2-inch meter.
Your plumber called me personally.
Russ, I know you're jealous of my 2-inch pipe. You could have came and bought one.
Who made a decision that we're gonna have one person only serve for a year? Because
For
in
an
our
election
law,
law.
it says that after the initial election, which is when they first started, all elections will be in 2-year increments.
Right.
Gotta put it back in sequence the way.
Well, why is it gonna get out of sequence? Because
It's out of sequence
it's-
because of 2 appointments.
They're talking about the upcoming election, and the election was in April. It happened already. And in just a number of weeks, we're going to find out who the new mayor is going to be from all the new council members. Extremely interesting. You know what else I find interesting? All of a sudden, Mary seems to know the law, even though she's broken it every time I've interacted with her. Just listen to her.
well, one of them
Each
is,
appointment only serves until the next election.
I thought it served until that person.
No.
Who made that decision?
It's in the
Florida
charter.
election
It's in
law.
the charter.
It's in the town charter.
It is.
Anybody that's appointed serves until the next election, and then they have to run.
That's correct, Don.
So that was, okay, that's the only way to rectify that, not getting out of sequence with the 2 and 3.
That's straight to
I think it's the only way, but I'll accept that if you
I
tell
think
me that.
we might not have done it correctly in the past
Correct.
We
That's
never
correct.
had that problem in the past.
because we didn't let them serve until the next election.
Ignorance, as was just stated there, well, we used to do it wrong in the past. I want to be very clear. Ignorance is not a good defense in court. You're still guilty, whether you're knowingly guilty or you're unknowingly guilty. And my goal is to put these people behind bars.
Can you hear Mr. Warm?
Yes.
Finally,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
you're fine. The election law is clear. The person who's appointed to fill a vacancy only serves until the next election, whenever the next election comes around. It may screw up the sequencing of the seats, but it is the law, as you said.
I know you're as shocked as I am. Mary, law isn't scary. She's just been pretending to be incompetent this entire time.
It's a learning process. Trust me.
Mary DeGroot, you're literally one of the last people in this earth that I would trust.
Okay, we need to talk about, we got 2 bids on moving this air conditioning unit off of the end of the septic tank. They was real close. One of them was from Jack Spann, who does all of our maintenance work. And I highly recommend that we hire him, because if the thing quits, he'll come work on it. I don't know who the other guy is or where he's from. You know anything about him?
He does Stewart's AC work, and he was a really, really nice man, and he said, don't
What's
let
his name?
anybody sell you a new unit. He says, you've got one of the best.
So we're just gonna keep talking and ignore the fact that there's an air conditioner on the septic tank in Otter Creek? If they're mixing their AC with their dookie, what do you think they're doing with their water?
When we get these bids, is there a number that we're supposed to get? Like we're supposed to get 2 or 3 or 4? Or like one bid certainly isn't a bid, it's just
There's two of them there.
Why,
There's
I said,
one
this is a separate question.
I tried for 3.
Yes,
I thought 3 should be,
yes, I think
You know,
three should be the number.
Okay, what if you can't get 3?
This tactic here, this is called justification. Now, there is a reality that very few people want to actually work in Otter Creek. You already saw that our mayor destroyed a fresh water deal with Chiefland. You've already seen that Otter Creek is odd and odder. So there is a reality. There are people who do not want to come here. You get outside of Otter Creek, you say Otter Creek, and the response is always the same. Your mayor is, and you can fill in the blank. I mean, I could tell you exactly what's been told to me. I mean, your mayor is a drunk, your mayor is a pervert, your mayor is corrupt, your town is backwards, the people are backwards. These are all things that have been shared with me personally. I'm not stating them to you, I'm sharing them as they've been shared with me. So there is that reality, but you can still get other bids. I mean, come on. Next door neighbor could put a bid in. But if you don't get those bids, you know what? You probably don't get kickbacks. You probably don't have the old buddy system that says, hey, I'll charge you this much and I'll give you this much off the top. And embezzlement can't happen as much because there's accountability. This is fiscal stewardship and accountability. Multiple bids, multiple hands in the pot. Everybody knows the bills, and yet nobody here in Otter Creek does except one person, and that's Russ The Suss.
It's got to be called for a vote. Call for a vote?
Yeah.
Did we vote?
Call for a vote.
I don't remember voting.
All right, I'll call for the vote again. Everybody in favor of Jack moving the,
I agree. I vote yes.
Let me catch you up here. We have a broke mayor running a broke town who's thwarted deals to get fresh water, who wants to remain controlling over the town's water. You have to ask yourself the question, why would a mayor hire an incompetent clerk? Why does the mayor not give out the information of the bills or the budgets or anything that's requested? And why does he want to hold that power over water? Usually individuals who want power for two things. Number one, money, right? Number two, usually adult type things that I'm not going to clearly state, but you can use your own imagination. That's why individuals want to hold power over somebody. Normally, if you were to look at the studies, that's normal. The other issue is significance. I have nothing significant in my life, and I want to be significant or have a significance over something. We could have had fresh water already. Why in the world, in a town that's in an emergency financial crisis, in a town that's broke, being run by a broke individual? By the way, a broke individual is not going to fix the money issues here. And I want to be very clear. I have no intentions whatsoever to run for mayor of Otter Creek. None. I didn't even want anybody to know that I lived here. I only have to film for accountability purposes. And I look forward to the day when I don't have to. And maybe the town of Otter Creek ought to go, you know what? We incorporated. And that was a good thing. When we incorporated, we were a growing, thriving town. We had a fire department. We had this. We had that. We had a gas station, we had a deli, and we were growing and we were thriving. But Russ The Suss is killing this place. Otter Creek is dying. The town of Otter Creek does not need a council that has absolutely no clue what they're doing. Doesn't need a clerk of courts who's technically a record keeper who works on behalf of the town residents, not for the mayor. The record keeper in any town, any city, any village works on behalf of the people that they serve in that village that live there. They're the record keeper. Why do we have these individuals? There's no need for it anymore.
our big issue is the water. Now, for this pressure tank around here, there's 2 quotes in there. And that's all I could get. It's a big job to us, but it ain't a big job to them people that do that kind of work.
Yeah, and I bet a 2-inch pipe is a big pipe to you, but it ain't a big pipe to a lot of people.
Alabama wanted $21,000, and it'll take him a week to do it, and he wants to rent a portable tank to put on a fire hydrant, because the tank is gonna be out of service. And I don't think we wanna be out of water for a week. Now, Mr. Industrial Painting, has found some paint that he can put on in one day. It's expensive. It's $6,000 for paint. But his quote was $20,000 and the other one was $21,000. Now, if he does that, he can do it in one day, but the tank has still got to be shut down, so we'd be out of water for one day, 14 hours. We're gonna be under a consent order from DEP. This was supposed to have been done in 2015.
I wonder who the mayor was in 2015. And here we are in 2023, 8 years later, and it's finally getting done. Now, remember, they're overcharging me. And not only me, they're overcharging every single resident in Otter Creek. Every time they've shut the system down and back on, down and on and down and on. All those homes have a surge of water because they have not required check valves in the meters. What meter doesn't have a check valve? And this was all news to me, which is why I placed a check valve. I paid to have a check valve placed right after my meter. When my meter went in, the town told me what meter I had to put in. The town said they were going to charge me 20% on top of what it actually cost. They pocketed the money, and they continued to pocket money from me because there was no check valve in place, and my water kept siphoning back and forth with filters and paint and tanks. $6,000 worth of paint in a tank.
So what do y'all want to do?
If we don't go with this guy and we don't do the 1 day deal, so it'll probably be down for a couple days. And the other guy, portable water, that means we're gonna have to rent that tank.
That's correct.
And that's like $11,000.
For 1 week. If it goes over a week, it's $1,000 a day.
More than $1,000 a day, because we're gonna have to pay for the technicians that come with it, $550 each.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't seem, viable for us. And plus, if you read the contract from the people that rent, they're gonna rent it from, we're gonna have to do the rental, not them. And it's crazy.
I think our 1 day option is gonna be the best option.
Which one?
The 20.
The $20,000 deal, without renting the tank.
We would be out of water for 14 hours while he's working on the tank.
Plan accordingly.
Better than spending
But he's also
$15,000.
He's also putting a new manway in there, because the one that's on there ain't but 18 inches. And it's against OSHA rules and regulations for him to put anybody in that tank. But he included that, I mean, that's included in the price of the 20,000. Well, you can read it.
Well, there's like 10 different things in the fine print that you don't even see from this guy, like $100 a day.
That was your other one. The industrial painting is $20,000 to put in the new manway, fix the 2-inch pipe on the bottom that's rusting away.
And now the 2-inch pipe envy makes so much sense. The town has a 2-inch pipe that's rusting away. Must be with them ocean laws. It's OSHA, Russ The Suss. OSHA. Pronounce it with me. Sha.
You know, just like with that filter deal. Okay, we're gonna do the filter, we decided to do the filter deal, it's a lot of money we're putting out for that. That guy, the salesman, had to know that filters wouldn't work with the pumps he had. It was something he omitted to tell us. It's
No.
common sense.
No, sir.
And an engineer, even Lonnie would have told us that we'd need new pumps, with putting filters in there, because there's just, it just couldn't push the water through.
Listen,
Am I wrong?
the pumps, maybe you didn't hear me last time. The pumps that are there are down, they put a tester on them and tested them. They're down, they're pumping at 15% capacity.
Well, if that's the case, we should have a report. that
They're
says
gonna
that.
have to be replaced anyway.
Or we should have those reports in front. We need that information.
The meeting before this in December, Russell said 20% capacity, but in January it's down to 15% capacity. And we know because the pumps can't keep the pressure and it's taking the water from our line and pushing it back through our meter. They're stealing from us, but it's at 15% capacity. They got to be replaced anyway. Where we gonna get the money? Oh, we're gonna charge Jeremy over and over again for the same water.
What kind of, life do they have that after that?
It'll be like a brand new tank, and it's been there for what, 25 or 30 years.
So we shouldn't have to fool with it, okay. All right. I'll make a motion that we accept the one from Industrial Painting Service for $20,000.
You got here a second.
Okay, before we go, you said 20,000 plus. If he has to do this, how are we gonna guarantee that flush doesn't go to $10,000? I mean, I don't know if we can put a cap on it. We don't know what the ballpark is. But if we just give him the contract and he said, well, it was 20 grand like we told you, but we had to do $10,000 more work.
It won't be.
So how do we protect ourselves from that?
It'll be a few hundred probably.
The most that he would have to do is a steel plate on the inside. That might be $500 or $1,000.
So-
It ain't no big
We can,
$10,000 deal.
if he can make the motion, if we put like a 10% cap on the total.
To go over?
Pardon?
Yes.
10% leeway.
Not
Okay.
to exceed.
All right,
Yeah, you can do that.
Plus 10%, 20,000 plus 10%?
can you change that?
2,000.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we accept the industrial painting service for 20,000 plus 10% for any overage if it happens to need something.
As a-
I mean,
that's
he ain't sent nobody in that tank, so we don't know for absolute sure what it looks like on the
Well,
inside. He can't do it.
He gave us an estimate, he must know what he's gonna be
Well,
finding.
He's pretty close. The man does it every day.
It's an estimate.
I like
He
to
knows
know
what
these
he's
kind
got.
of people.
Yeah.
So Russell puts his faith in a man who does it every day. He knows what he's talking about. And yet every time I film him, which I do every day, he keeps calling the Levy County Sheriff. And every time I film Mary, who now knows the law, she keeps calling the Levy County Sheriff. When she gets mail, she calls the sheriff. The man does this every day. He knows what he's doing.